beautiful, isn't it? Perfect reflection here today. This is Lake Yeagarup, and that's Yeagarup Dunes in the distance we're about to head to. So this is a big freshwater lake that's just kind of perched here. It's been formed over the past 5,000 to 8,000 years or so as the dunes have moved inland. You can hear some black cockatoos in the distance. And the water's very, very dark here at Lake Yeagarup. It's very tannin stained. It's very silty on the bottom. If you get in there, you stir up all the silt and it becomes really murky. We're just coming up to Yeagarup Dunes, which is a vast mobile sand dune system that's moving inland about 4 to 6 metres a year. It runs for about 12 kilometres east to west, and it's a kilometre wide, and we're still 8 kilometres inland from the ocean. It was formed during the last ice age, 25,000 to 8,000 years ago. The climate was a lot drier and really windy, and so all the sand along the coast here was mounded up into these huge big piles, big dunes. And because we're on an open exposed part of the coast here, we tend to have fairly strong southwesterlies blowing most of the year, so the dunes just keep on moving. They don't stay still long enough to revegetate. As they move inland, they're swallowing up the forest, and a lot of our old little swamps and lakes that are at the base of the dunes, they'll just get swallowed up. Beautiful, isn't it? If we can get our way over to these old stumps over here. So you can see some of the big old jarrah trees that have been re-exposed as the dunes have moved further inland. Every now and then you'll get a little sheltered patch of sand that is enough for the vegetation to take hold. This is all marram grass that you can see here that was introduced back in the early days by the local settlers trying to stabilise the dunes. Yeah, once the vegetation starts to take hold, you'll actually get these lovely little mounds that revegetate, and the rest of the sand will move around them. So you get these beautiful lovely formations here and there. Then you get massive big dune systems like this one over the back, and not much is going to stop that. It's just going to keep on moving through.
So what's this soil horizon here? What's going on here?
You've probably got a fair bit of organic matter there that's decaying away, these logs and everything decaying away, and it's being churned up and moving through. When you look at it, it's got a lot of charcoal and everything in it. So it's from the old forests. But we're actually standing on top of forests here, old forests.
Standing on top of old forest. So how far down does this sand go?
quite a long way. Depends how high you are.
So there's big trees down there?
Yep.
Big tree trunks underneath us here?
Yep. As these all move through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was probably quite high up in the forest?
Yes.
That?
Yes. Yep, and there's others in behind it as well. Yeagarup Dunes is a big mobile sand dune system inland in Dontricasto National Park. The dunes have basically been getting pushed inland by the wind since the last ice age, which ended about 8,000 years ago. So during the last ice age, 25,000 to 8,000 years ago, it was a lot drier and windier than it is currently. And along the coastline here, the sand was just mounded up into these huge big dune systems. Because we're on such an open, exposed part of the south coast here, the southwesterlies that we get coming up from Antarctica just keep on pushing the sand further and further inland. And often the sand won't stand still long enough for the vegetation to take hold. It's just continually on the move. And so it's just continually moving inland further and further. In behind the dunes, once the plants start to get a bit of a take hold here and there, they'll start to revegetate. And right through to the coast, there's another 8 kilometres of revegetated forest all the way through to the coastline.
So in this Google Earth image we can see where it's revegetated down in this lower area, is that correct?
Yes, yep. So the species on the northeastern edge are very different to what you get on the southwestern edge. So this is jarrah forest primarily on this side that's being swallowed up by the dunes as they move in up on the northeastern side. On the lower edge it tends to be all the coastal heath species like the wattles and peppermint trees, things like that, and Gondis flexuosa. So you do get extensive peppermint forests through there, which are a beautiful habitat anyway, but you will get a lot more species on the northeastern edge, which hasn't been swallowed by the dunes yet.
It's quite remarkable thinking about that, standing on those dunes, thinking about the big forests underneath you.
Yeah. Well, some of those dunes are massive, they're very, very high, and yeah, you do have fully grown forests underneath you. And as the dunes are moving in, they're also swallowing up all these little lakes and swamps that you can see on the northeastern edge. We've already lost a couple. There's one, if you look at the 100-year-old maps, there's Nanup Swamp, which no longer exists. It's been completely swallowed by the dunes. But we are starting to get other little swamps that form on the southwestern edge as well. So it's a very dynamic ecosystem. You get to see geology in action, basically. 9 months of the year the sand is encroaching on the forest here, and then for the other 3 months over summer, early autumn, we get strong easterlies pushing the sand back. Here you can see where the dunes are actually moving inland and swallowing up the forest as they go through. When I first moved here 20 years ago, there used to be a massive big lake at the bottom here, which is now completely swallowed up. And you can see after a while, once the trees start to get buried too much, they'll actually die off. And then as the dunes move through over hundreds and thousands of years, they'll be re-exposed again.
So these trees don't know it. How long would it take for the dune to actually get this far so these trees are devoured?
Probably just another 5 years or so. Before it reaches the baseline. Probably 20 years in total before it's completely swallowed. Yeah, even just in the time I've been here, the swamps that have disappeared, we've lost frog species out of those. Hopefully the frogs moved over to this other swamp over here. But also certain orchids used to grow at the base of the dune systems, but as the dunes have moved in, we've lost those orchid species now. Luckily none of them are endangered or threatened species. We do find them in other areas, but here we have local extinctions because of it. But it's a natural process. It's in a national park. It's just something that happens.